I'm Dafydd, here at ATB Guitars, and we're going to discuss today the origins of the P90 pickup. As you see behind me, we've got a selection of gold tops from the 50s and the reissue from 1968. So we thought it was a great opportunity to sort of give you a chance to hear what the differences are, discuss the way that the pickup changed over time. It's a question we're often asked, the difference between them and things. So we thought we'd give you a portion of our knowledge and see if it helps. Simply put, the P90 is Gibson's single coil pickup. No, it's not quite like a Strat pickup. It's constructed the same as there's a single coil of wire that runs around a central bobbin, but on a Strat pickup you have a magnet for each string, whereas on a P90 you have two bar magnets that run the full length of the coil underneath, with the adjustable pole pieces for each string. No, again, with the Jazzmaster, it's constructed the same as the Strat pickup. You've got individual magnets for each string and a coil of wire around the outside. The Jazzmaster pickup looks similar from the outside, but actually is much thinner than a P90. So the P90 was introduced in 1946, though the earliest examples we've come across are from 1948 on an ES150 and an ES300. The pickup was designed by Walt Fuller, who had also designed the P90 precursor, which was the P13, and also the pickup that we now refer to as the Charlie Christian pickup, which we feel is safe to say was the first sort of pickup that was constructed in the way that we recognize today, i.e. it had a coil of wire around a centralized magnet, whereas before, previous solutions to the electrification problem were to use horseshoe magnets and a coil of wire. Simply put, it was the pickup of choice. Obviously, we associate the Les Paul with the Humbucker, but that was yet to be invented. No. No, not really. Even though they're all constructed the same way, the 10,000 turns of 42 gauge wire around a bobbin with two magnets underneath, that's where the similarity really ends. In the 50s, they were machine wound, obviously, but there was no such thing as an auto stop or anything. So there was the variables in the amount of winds, there's slight variations in that, and then the different machines had different tensions, so that would vary the way the pickup sounded. And then you've got things like the magnets used. So we're certain that for the first year and a half, they used Alnico 3 magnets in the construction of the pickup. And then there's two trains of thought. One says that they started using Alnico 2 and Alnico 4 magnets. And the other says that they kept using Alnico 3 all the way through to 1957. Well, then they started using Alnico 5 magnets. So it's this that adds to the mystique. And that's down to the fact that there was, depended on supply for these materials, and it also depended on who was working that day and what machines they were using. And so because of this, you can end up with two guitars from the same year sounding different, not wildly different, but different enough because of these sort of variations in the construction. Now later on, towards the 60s, they became slightly more consistent in the construction. They shortened the magnet by 1/4 inch. And they also introduced machines with auto stop. So that helped with, well, that changed the sound, but it also helped with consistency. So you tend to find that the P90 starts to sound more consistent in the 60s. Well, they're actually not a P90. They're the same size as a P90, but they're constructed differently, more along the lines of a Strat pickup, with individual adjustable magnets for each string. That's quite an interesting story, actually. When Les Paul first received his Les Paul, he didn't get on so well with the P90 pickup. So he decided to swap them out with Gretsch Dynasonic pickups. A Dynasonic pickup is constructed in a similar manner to a Strat pickup. There's a magnet for each string that's adjustable. So obviously Gibson couldn't have this, the man with his name on the guitar changing his pickups. So they gave Seth Liller the job of designing a pickup along the similar lines, and so we found ourselves with the staple Alnico 5 pickup. They made the switch in 1957, and it replaced the P90 in all their mid and high range models. And they made the switch because the P90 was just too noisy, and it was at the requests of musicians who were using the instruments. No, not at all. It remained in use on the Junior and the Special, as well as the ES330, right through the 60s. And was in fact, when they reintroduced the Les Paul Standard in 1968, it was the pickup that was fitted to that as well. So there's a little bit of a difference between them, although structurally they're still the same. In 1965, Gibson started using poly-coated wire instead of the enameled wire they had been previously. And the magnet material is different. It's Alnico 5 by this point. And also visually they look different. In 68 they started using clear bobbins instead of the black bobbins they'd been using previously. They also sound different because of the material change. So 68 P90 sounds a bit smoother than a 50s P90, and this is sort of it's a sign of the times, really. A change in what musicians are looking for in their pickups. So there you have it, a brief history of the P90, a pickup that still features on Gibson guitars to this day, and has been the defining sound of so many, revolutionary things. Scotty Moore, Hubert Sumlin, Muddy Waters, B.B. King, Freddie King, Gary Clark Jr., Santana. Who can forget that performance at Woodstock? And it's still a pickup that inspires musicians to this day, and a sound that that even more so now, people are striving to reproduce the magic of these pickups, with so many manufacturers producing their own version. Thank you very much for watching. We've been ATB Guitars. Make sure you follow us here on YouTube and on all our social media to keep up to date with all our latest stuff. Hit the subscribe button if you want to be kept in the loop. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.